Hello, today is March 6th, 2025. I'm meeting today with Mr. Ken Vaughn at the Homelake Veterans Home in Monte Vista, Colorado. My name is Brad Hoops. I'm the interviewer for the Remember and Honor Project. Thank you, Ken, for sitting down today to tell your story. If we could, let's start out. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your date of birth, where you were born, a little bit about your family.
All right, well, I was born in Salamanca, New York.
What's your date of birth?
1992.
I'm sorry?
1932.
1932. And did you have any siblings, any brothers and sisters? Any brothers and sisters?
No.
You were the only child?
Only child.
Yeah. What'd your dad do for a living? What'd your father do for a living?
He was a railroad engineer,
Oh, okay.
but he died when I was 3 years old.
Oh. It was just you and your mom then? Yeah. How did she make it during those years? Particularly, it was at the tail end of the Great Depression. I mean, was it pretty hard on her?
Yeah, well, they had a deal like Social Security. Well, Social Security at first, but the government paid for it, like they do now. Welfare
Okay.
is what it was.
Okay. Yeah. And then you grew up there in New York and went through high school there, or?
Yeah, I went to high school.
Okay. Yeah. What was your childhood like? Do you have any good memories, bad memories of your childhood that you can tell, that you can remember?
Well, I have all kinds of memories. When I went into high school, I wasn't doing too good. But I graduated anyway because they had us called social promotion at that time. They had watered down courses that you took, and if you passed them, you didn't have to take more advanced courses. But it covered everything. It had trig in it, algebra. It was watered down almost like grade school math.
Okay.
They had it watered down pretty good. And what I liked there was, the last one they had was industrial arts. And the guy that taught it was, he retired, he was a surveyor. And he started up a course there called drafting and surveying.
Oh.
And I ended up in that.
And you enjoyed doing that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I got graduated. When I got out of high school, I couldn't find a job. So I went down and tried to get in the Merchant Marine at first. But I was too young,
Oh.
17. They didn't want anybody under age.
Well, now why the Merchant Marines? What interested you about them?
Huh?
Why did you go to the Merchant Marines as opposed to like the other service branches?
Well, I was closest to home.
Oh, okay.
It was up by Lake Erie, Lake Ontario, the Great Lakes. So went down and I joined the Air Force.
Oh, joined the Air Force, huh?
Yeah,
Oh.
and that wasn't too bad. They found out what I took in school, industrial arts. And when the Korean War started, they didn't have many people who could read a map right or run a compass. So I ended up as an AP. I was always complaining. I wanted to do this, that, and the other thing. So they put me on the tax service. And I ended up in Korea for a while.
Well, now let's back up. Where did you take your basic training?
Basic training was taken in Lackland.
Lackland. Oh, so that's quite a bit of difference between New York. What was that like going down there?
Yeah, the heat was pretty good.
Yeah. You had probably, I imagine, growing up, probably hadn't traveled too far away from home, had you? Before joining the Air Force? Had you traveled much before the Air Force? Yeah, so this was new to you. Yeah, yeah. How was it going from being a civilian into the service? Was that a very hard adjustment for you?
It was kind of hard. That's why I was always complaining to the chaplain. And, well, the Korean War started, and only a few people knew how to read a map or work a compass. I don't know how they found out what I had, but they looked it up and they put me in as a construction surveyor.
Oh, wow.
And I'm still complaining. So then, got to jump ahead a little bit.
Okay.
I got out in 1954, and they had a fire in St. Louis, burned up all the records from
Yeah, 1973.
Mine was in there.
Oh.
And I tried to get another one, but they let out half of the stuff I did.
And never been able to do that yet? You haven't been able to dig up records?
Oh, what's the, what do they give you when you get out?
Oh, DD 214?
Yeah, 214. They sent me one of them, but it didn't have, it was a copy. And it didn't have half the stuff on it I did.
Oh, boy. Yeah. Oh, what a shame. What a shame. Well, let's back up then, and talk a little bit about those years between 1950 and 1954. So did they send you to any sort of training school for the construction?
Just AP school.
Oh, is that right? Yeah. And then,
but anyway, it come up that they needed observers because they didn't have enough. The pilots they had didn't want to be observers because the MiG was out at that time. And so I went and I learned how to take a plane off the ground and land it.
You did?
Yeah. And that was due to the commander. His name was Candles, I think, Candles. And we come out of the OSS is where we come from. Then down into G2 they called it, that was intelligence. So he wanted his observers to be able to take a plane off the ground and land it.
Wow.
And he got everything he wanted. And I didn't know what a bureaucrat was at that time, but that's what he was.
Yeah, yeah.
But later on he went on to become first director of the CIA. I think his name was McCandless, but I'm not sure.
It sounds familiar, yeah.
And they fished out, and we got into attrition. The attrition was out. That looked like attrition, and there's two different names. The military's got one attrition, and there's another attrition, but they went by the CONE, Table of Organization and Equipment. And I looked that up and I read it, and it said, if your unit was destroyed down to 65%, you was on attrition. They'd send you someplace else.
Yeah.
And that's how I got back to the States.
Oh, well, let's back up. So, how did you learn? Did they put you through pilot training school, or how did you learn to land and take off?
Oh, they had a pilot in the back seat. They had different civilian aircraft, high wing they called it. One was a Stinson L5, one was a 03 L19. They called that a birddog. They had a J4 Cub and a J3 Cub. The J4 Cub was called the greenhouse. It had a big long canopy on it. And the J3 Cub was the one that Piper made. That was a popular airplane. So we had a pilot in the back, and that guy turned out he was an American, what do you call it when you come from a foreign country? Or naturalized American.
Oh, okay, uh-huh.
I don't know what his name was, a heck of a long name, he was a Romanian. And he flew for the German Luftwaffe in the Second War. And he was my trainer.
Wow.
He'd sit in the back and he'd tell me what to do.
Jeez.
Push the right rudder, push the left rudder, lay on. And the control was up here for the throttle, was on the side here. And he told me to stay away from the second notch because that was what they call idle speed. And then you push it down through it, and it had a grabbing at the second notch, and then pull the thing out of your hand, put it in idle speed. And I don't know if you ever heard of idle speed.
I haven't,
Well, if a plane gets below idle speed, it'll drop out of the air like a rock.
Oh,
It'll
jeez.
come like this, and that's what that second notch was. When he was coming in for a landing, and you pushed it into the stall, into the idle speed, you had to watch it because you hit the other one, and you bang, bounce. And then we had L-110, and we had a YO-92, that went to the Navy, Coast Guard, and Marines had that. And we had the L-19 birddog. Cessna made it, and they later made it the 152 Sky King.
So, what was your responsibility? You would fly up and observe the battlefield, or what would you guys go up? What was your missions, I guess?
Oh, we took pictures of the area. And they had a B-52 up there where it was all set up, a big camera. And what we had to do was fire smoke rockets in a pattern. And if you thought there was enemy down there, you didn't have to know it, you just have to think they was down there. And you put in a bracket, you bracketed it. And the B-52 was up above, and it would take a big picture of that area with smoke rockets we put in there.
Well, I've got to imagine, you're flying low, you're flying a slow-moving airplane. That had to be fairly dangerous. Were you getting ground fire at all?
Oh yeah. But at that time, the Chinese had the RPG. They later called it the rocket-propelled grenade.
Yeah.
But letters was the guy's initials that invented it. And the Dukes had that. But RPG-1. And every time they fired it, you could see a big cloud of smoke. So from the back, it didn't burn clean, I guess. But they fired it, and the back of the exhaust come out of it. They told you to stay away from the back of it. And that's what we looked for. And if you saw that, that's when I figured they didn't name it right. It was a damn rocket. It was a rocket warhead that went by us. It didn't look like a grenade. So I figured it was a grenade-propelled rocket. And that pilot, he was kind of a clown. Couldn't understand him hardly. I don't know what language he talked in Romania.
Yeah.
But we couldn't understand. He could understand English damn good. And he's flying along. Oh boy, he says, we almost bought it that time. That rocket went past the cockpit. And he said, what you got to do is when you see that smoke, you want to back left and climb right away. Because they always fired ahead of it. And you back left and you get away from it, but it'd go by you anyway. Little damn thing about like this. Come to find out, the warhead of it is what they call the plasma. It was nitroglycerin, and it was mixed with white phosphorus, and it made it like a plasma. And white phosphorus, it burns in the air, and that's what it'll do if it hits something. That rocket would explode, just set it on fire.
That burns right through you too, yeah.
And that's what the pilot told us. He said, you watch for that. And he was right, you could see it was a big puff of smoke down there.
How far off the ground would you guys usually be flying?
Oh, we could only go up 15,000 feet because the artillery shells
Oh, yeah.
come up arced over, and if we went up any higher, we'd get hit probably with lower shells. And then we coordinated with the Navy. They had what they called the Kingfisher, the float plane. And they used that as their observation for their battleship. We launched it off the back end of the battleship, and they'd give the pilot would give them the coordinates of a ship or something. We fired that big monster cannon, 16 inches, weighed 2,000 pounds of projectile. And they could fire at 23 miles. And I could never figure out how the heck you could hit anything because you can't see 23 miles from the water. And we had to watch out for them.
Boy, from the sounds of it, sounds like you were flying through all this stuff.
So after a while, they just wouldn't shoot at us with an RPG. And L-19 had a ceiling of 18,000 feet, but we were set for 15,000 feet, which is only 500 yards. That ain't too much.
Yeah. At that point, you've got to wear oxygen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're flying around. And when we wasn't flying something, that guy was doing stunts. He was telling me how to do them. But you couldn't understand, he wanted to fly the jets, and he finally got to fly them. And I remember he was in the open mess over there, and heard this laughing, guy talking loud. I said, gee, that sounds familiar. I walked in, and here he is over there buying drinks for everybody. And he sees me. He used to call me smart kid. Hey, smart kid, get over here. He could say that in English pretty damn good. He was buying drinks for the damn house. What are you doing buying drinks for everybody? That day he shot down 4 MiGs and he was celebrating it. He was becoming violent.
Wow.
And I remember that guy because he had a language that I couldn't understand, a big long name. But he could understand English. That's about it. He could only say so much. Like, oh, we almost bought it that time. Hey, you smart kid.
How many missions do you think you flew, roughly? Do you have any idea?
Yeah.
Would you fly daily? Would it be a daily thing, or?
Well, we go up every day.
What's that?
Go up every day.
Oh, jeez.
And we only had two aircraft at that time. We started out with 12, I think, out of the squadron. 12 airplanes, and they lost 10 of them. 3 enemy fire. Anyway, none of that got put on my 214.
It did. None of that did. Well, we're recording it, so we're gonna get it down. Oh man. What K base did you fly out of?
Huh?
What K base did you fly out of? Weren't the bases named by K and numbers over there?
Well, it was outside of Tagoo, I think. It was a forward airfield, and headquarters was in Japan.
And did you? How many years were you over in Korea?
I was only there 6 months.
6 months.
Yeah.
But you flew practically every day for 6 months. Did you ever get an R&R over to Japan, or?
Oh yeah. Yeah, they send us over there. Once a month we'd go to there. They had an airfield over there. It's called Tachikawa. I don't know if you ever heard of that. Tachikawa is outside Tokyo. That's where they had the headquarters.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Were you able, when you were over there, were you able to get out and explore Japan at all?
Oh yeah, we could go around.
Yeah.
That was another thing. We couldn't understand what they were saying. They couldn't understand us, I guess. So I walk around and I know what it feels like to be a foreigner in a strange country, you know. They look at the side of their eye.
Particularly in a country that 4 or 5 years prior to that was our enemy, you know? Yeah. Were they friendly or to you, or how did they treat you?
Well, they didn't treat us at all.
Oh.
They had the name Chigo Gangsters. That was the Chicago Gangster. They must have been watching movies. Humphrey Bogart.
Oh, yeah.
We were known as the Chigo Gangsters. Couldn't understand them. I wasn't over there too long.
Yeah. What were your living conditions like on the base in Korea? Your housing was at tents or quonsets or?
Tents.
Yeah. Were you comfortable enough? Were you warm enough? Because I hear it got pretty cold over
Yeah,
there.
they had the heaters in there.
Yeah.
And they had like a headquarters building. There's only 2 of us that go there and sleep, but they had the intelligence in there. Them guys was code crackers, I guess.
How was the food?
Oh, regular military. K-rations mostly.
Yeah.
But when they got fresh meat, it was real hard. It was like it'd been in the freezer for a month. It was real hard to kind of chew it. I remember that. Anyway, I got back here, they sent me up to Selfridge Field, Michigan. And that's where I got discharged from. I was 92nd Fighter Group, I guess.
That's who you were with, 92nd Fighter?
Yeah, yeah, that was in Selfridge Field. I think it was 92nd Fighter Group.
Now, when you went over to Korea, did you fly over or did you take a ship over?
Fly over.
Flew over? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, we were the replacement for attrition people.
Jeez. So, I think you said earlier 10 out of your 12 planes got shot down?
Huh?
You said earlier that 10 out of your 12 planes got shot down?
Yeah. I think it was a rocket. Burned them up. Switch. They lost some of the ground fire, but the AK-47, yeah, the AK, that was their rifle. That was like it started out with an AK-1, and they had a cover over the airplane that the bullet wouldn't penetrate it. But every once in a while, one would get through there.
And you managed to make it without did you ever get hit at all with bullet fire or anything? Or did you ever get hit by bullet fire? Did you come back with bullet holes in your plane at any time?
No. Yeah, we did. We had 5 holes in it. That's when the guy said, yeah, we almost bought it that time. I like that.
Yeah.
And I come back here and got discharged from Salford.
Now, did you fly with that Romanian guy the whole time? Was that your pilot the whole time? Okay.
Yeah, he taught me how to land the plane, take off.
Well, now, why did he do that? Was it because if he got wounded that you would be able to land the plane? Why did they teach you to land and take off? What was the reason?
Oh, they could use it for laying pipe. They could use it as an ambulance to take one person that was sick out. And if the pilot got hit, well, we had to land that plane.
That's the 2 hardest parts of flying, is landing and taking off. I'll be darned.
Well, taking off and landing easy. When you come in for a landing, you got to keep your nose up. Watch that gyroscope line there. You got to keep it up about 10 degrees. And get the tail wheel to hit the ground. And you tail wheel to hit the ground, push it into idle and lay down. Come like this, and then you lay it down nice and smooth.
And you had never had any problems, any bad landings?
He was back in the back seat sometime. Yeah, I probably had, I remember the first time I tried to land it. I did that, I got the stall speed instead of the idle speed. That damn thing bounced up in the air, about 10 feet or more,
Yeah.
until it settled down. That never got put on the
Yeah.
214.
Wow.
We got me going from Fort Custis to Selfridge Field in Michigan. That was up the area he had me going there. They forgot about me.
Well, now, how did you get chosen for that position? How did you go from a surveyor to that position?
Oh, well, surveying, you have to run what they call travelers. And went out there, and the artillery also used the surveyor. And you had to run the travelers because that was their fire point. So many degrees, left, right, north, south. You had to work the transit and had to mark that down. And you got a jagged line like that. That's called a sectoral fire.
Mm-hmm.
And fly an airplane, when you're flying along, you look down for that kind of stuff.
Ah.
And Chinaman was good. They could hide a damn tank and you'd be right next to it and you'd never see it. I don't know what the hell they used, but they was good at surveying. But the thing I liked was they had a turkey shooter over there. It wasn't too big, it was only about 50 guys. But I remember the Chinamen would send out, or the North Koreans would send out a patrol. And these Turks would be up there along the side hill. And they'd come running down with those curved knives and waving them, and head was rolling. And they was afraid of them Turks.
Yeah.
Well, I was afraid of them too. Man, you look at them, man, you look like they would enjoy cutting your head off. But they was good fighters.
Yeah. Yeah. Boy, so you kind of had a front row seat to a lot of. See, you had a front row seat to watching a lot of that stuff. Yeah.
Anyway, when I got out of the service, I went back to Salamanca. I couldn't get a job. They wasn't hiring anything. So I talked to one person, he said, "You got survey experience?" Yeah. Well, New Mexico starting their highway department program, and they're looking for surveyors. He says, "Why don't you take a trip to New Mexico?" So I did. Hitchhiked out to it. And I went in, I told him what I had. And the personnel man, I can't think what his name was. He says, "Where the hell have you been? We've been looking for guys like you. I can put you to work today." Just because of the survey experience I had. But I said, "No, I gotta come out here and move out here." "Okay, you can start Monday." And this was Wednesday.
And so you still had to hitchhike back home?
And I come out to New Mexico. Worked 25 years there and retired.
For the state highway department, or?
Yeah, New Mexico State Highway Department. And well, about the end of my enlistment day, I got sent down to work. It was hot down around T or C. And I ended up with strokes, heat exhaustion, and sunstroke. So they put me in the hospital. I remember they had a big wooden vat, and the water was body temperature. So they set in here. I sit there a while. They come along, the buckets of ice. They dumped it in that to lower my temperature.
Jeez.
Temperature was 105, 106. And they told me, "Well," said, "you ain't gonna be worth a damn when you get back out there. Why don't you go to Colorado?" He said, go to Silver. So that's the place. The temperature's about 70 in the summer, but it gets down to 5 below in the winter. He said, that's where you want to go. So that's where I went. I stayed in Silver for 20 years.
Is that right? Were you retired or did you work there?
No, I retired.
Oh, okay.
Well, I was thinking of working there, but I didn't want to go into the mine.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I went into one on the tour. Oh, it was underground. And that was scary.
Yeah.
Walk along, had the tunnel, kind of have to crouch down. And give you a hard hat to wear with the light on it. I kept bumping my head when I raised up. And I thought, no, I don't want to go here. Because there was something about the earth out there. I don't know what it was, I never learned. But about 10 o'clock in the morning when it was hot, you'd hear a boom. And you think the dang ground was caving in. But you get that sound. Boom, every morning about 10 o'clock. And I didn't care for that.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, you thought there was a cave-in coming. Oh.
And then from there you moved here then, or how long you been here at Homelake?
Oh, 5 years.
Have you? Yeah.
No, I got over there and I got pneumonia.
Oh.
Got pneumonia. Last year was sent down to a veterans place. And that's why they sent me here. I've been here 5 years. And I've always had good luck. Like here about, a couple of weeks ago, I had a plastic card holder. And I had a driver's license in it, Social Security in it, my insurance, and it must have slipped out of my pocket because I can't find it. And I've been talking to the people supposed to do that, I guess. Come to find out, I have to go to Salamanca to get my Social Security and driver's license. But I gotta get a ride. The person I talked to here said they talked to Brian and see if I get a ride over to the Bureau of Social Security. When I looked all over my cottage, I couldn't find it. It was a slippery little small. It had all my files in it.
Yeah, yeah.
They wasn't too big, you know, on a driver's license.
Yeah, yeah.
That's about what they want. That's where I'd be sitting here talking to you.
Oh, boy. So did you ever marry?
Yes.
Yeah. Tell me about her and how you met her and.
Oh, when I got discharged, I was running around with. My mother saw that. She introduced me to this girl. From what she told me, she was really abusing. She was a child. Well, maybe I can take her away from this. I took her along, and I went over here. And I had a son, Ken. He works for the state of New Mexico, but not the highway department. It's like the management deal. And he's still over there in New Mexico. Marriage wasn't too bad when I was over there, but when I got out here, the whole gal started roaming around. And, well, I figured, well, she'd been abused and overlooked it for a while. One day I come home, she told me I didn't live there anymore. She went to court and got the house and got this, and now they call it house robbery or something. I don't know how she learned that, but she got that. He told me, you don't live here anymore. So I just went to Farmington and stayed there.
Oh, boy. So you just have the one son?
One son,
Yeah. Any grandchildren? Any grandchildren?
Well, yeah, he's got one in Hawaii someplace. I don't know anything about that.
Well, through the years, did you ever keep in touch with anybody you served with over in Korea? Was there any sort of reunions or anything like that? No?
No, I got, well, in the church down there in Silverton, the pastor, he comes up here and sees me once in a while, named Mark Lawson, the pastor. He sends up some people to visit with me. Other than that, I might as well be in jail.
Yeah. Well, you know, they say that the Korean War is the forgotten war, and you guys are the forgotten veterans. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, well, they was right, but, well, I didn't feel too good. I kind of had hostilities, I guess.
Yeah.
But in this last election, that come out, a lot of that's come out about before the Korean War, and they're still fighting it. And I finally got my brains together and I figured out that some of that applies to me. And I went down to the VA. Oh, I remember I went to the VA when I got out. The guy's name was Butler. He was supposed to be the foreman. I wanted to go to college. And they had a rule out that if she was in Korea, you had to be there. I said, well, oh, you had 6 months to sign up for the VA thing. He didn't tell me that. So when they put the veterans for Korea under the GI Bill, I lost that. See, I've had good luck. Excuse me.
Yep.
Sit here.
You bet.
Talk to yourself. I imagine a lot of that at one time was written down, but it's not anymore. Well, it's not.
Yeah.
Probably it isn't. But I heard a long time ago about this deep state. Never knew what it was until this last election came out. But I heard about it when I was in Korea. Deep state.
So I forgot where we left off. We were talking about the deep state and
About the GI Bill that I got.
Yeah.
I got screwed on. That's what he was talking about.
yeah. So you were never able to use the GI Bill at all?
No. Those guys, I don't know. I figured, like I said, I figured from the last time, which is about a 5-year span in there, why I didn't get it.
Wow.
So I don't know if what I told you is written down or not.
Yeah.
Sounds like a fishtail. I know it. That's what I remember.
Well, Ken, as we kind of wind down this interview, is there anything I didn't ask you that you would like to talk about, or any other stories that, as we've been sitting here, have kind of floated to the top that you want to tell? I know I only probably got the tip of the iceberg of your story, but is there anything else you want to talk about so we round out your story as best we can, or do you think we've talked about everything you would like to talk about?
Yeah. I'd like to get all of my licenses back, but I don't know how I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
License, Social Security,
Yeah.
hospitalization cards, and I think it just slipped out of my
Yeah.
pocket.
Yeah.
It did.
Yeah.
I can only think of a couple stories I tried to And I don't know if that's the really stories or not.
Oh, go ahead and tell them, sure.
Well, when I was working as a construction surveyor, they also put us in the field testing lab because we had knowledge of tests. And was out here surveying one day on the Indian reservation. And here comes this guy hollering Navajo. He's an old guy and he's carrying a shotgun. He's pointing it at us like that. And come to find out, he wanted 2 driveways put in his property. It is in the damnedest places you ever saw. One was on a hill, one was coming down, and you had to figure a sight distance for the turnouts. You had to figure left and right the sight distance. I think it was something like 70-foot sight distance. And the damn sand dunes or whatever they was out there was just that much. Just a damn 70 foot. And, because they wanted to get around behind the hill, because they had hogans, they call them. And that's what they lived in up there. And you could get on one of these dirt roads and go down it. All of a sudden, here's a mud-built hogan, and the road ends right there. They turn around and get out of there. But them old guys, they was really serious about their land. They probably were still fighting the French and Indian War.
Yeah, right. Wow.
And I remember that pretty good. Didn't have too many stories to tell.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, then they took out, they was making Navajo irrigation project. They had that. And they had the lake down here, I can't think of the name of it now. It was right here in Colorado, where it was on New Mexico. And they took a tunnel there, and they made it over to, again I'm lost, they had a peak over there in New Mexico on the reservation. They put an underground passage there for water, and had made a lake over there so they could drain the reservation because they were agricultural people. And this guy, he was kind of I guess we call him a BS-man. But he come up here to Farmington, and he gets going with this lady, and she had 2 kids. And he was already poking his nose in someplace. And when they made the opening for that channel to go over to, I can't think of the damn mountain, they didn't close it. And he had a rubber raft, and he was going to take the kids for a ride. And he got in that channel, and he got in there so far, and there was the first separation was dropped off. Had what do they call it? A chasm. Up here and down here was about a 600-foot drop underground where the water was flowing like a pond. And he come down here and that rubber raft got caught on a sharp rock, and him and the 2 kids drowned, and they had to go out there and get them. I remember that. I can't think of the damn lake. It's right down here in New Mexico, right out of Aztec. And the mountain, that's over there going down 550. And you can see it from a ways off. I can't think of it.
Yeah, that's okay.
I don't have any. Sometimes I get a blank. And
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah. What was going back to Korea? Was there any of those missions that you went on? Did any of those stick out? Any of those that were pretty hairy or scary, or did any of those missions stick out in your mind, or were they all pretty much, probably all scary, but any of them worse than Any of the others, or?
No, I still remember some of it.
Yeah,
Some of it I get lost in.
yeah,
I could get a blank there. I could blame Bidden for having some, you know. I can sympathize with him because I get that way.
yeah,
Right here, I can sit and I get up. I forget which way I'm going. Get disorientated.
yeah.
And that's always scary.
Yeah.
And I had a balance. Still got a balance problem. That's why I got this walker. Walk, and you get up too fast, and you want to fall either forward or sideways.
Yeah.
And I found out these things don't work too good.
Oh boy.
If you go over a curb and they drop down, you go over the top.
Yeah. Right.
Hit your head, or you fall down sideways.
Yeah. Right.
The brakes are no good on it. This is a new one. I had to buy this one, and then it's still great.
Well, the last question I always like to ask in these interviews, Ken, is when you look at your time in the Air Force and over in Korea, when you look at that, do you see that as just a chapter in your life, or did it play a role, change your life at all? How would you answer that?
That is a chapter.
Just a chapter? Yeah.
We got a bunch of them.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, no doubt. Well, Ken, I want to thank you for sitting down today to tell your story, but I also want to thank you for your service to our country.
Okay, well, thank you for listening.